So we've got Ben Geddes on today, professional cricketer at Middlesex, was previously at Surrey as well. So we are going to touch base on all things cricket, talk about Surrey, Middlesex, different challenges and mindset in cricket too, and then yeah, just have a good chat. So thanks for coming on, Ben.
Thanks for having me.
We always start with one question. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, you're going to start me off with a cliche here, but I think it's just to really enjoy the process and the journey because, yeah, now I'm 24. I've been in the game for 4 summers. Well, this might be my fifth, and it's flown by. And just looking back, yeah, just really enjoy that process and the journey.
Yeah, and talking about journey, when did you start? You were like 9, was it, when you started in the Surrey setup?
Yeah, I probably would have been eight
There we
years
go.
old, and yeah, started playing in the under nines, and yeah, here we are now.
Where were you? When did you first pick up a bat? What age can you remember?
I can't remember, but mum and dad would have said that I'd have been 2 or 3 years old. Yeah.
Good. And the club you start? Were you at Ashted the whole
Yeah,
time? So you're
Hashtag
still
Cricket
there?
Club. Yeah, yeah, still there. Local club. Yeah, haven't played for them this year, but I always love playing with those boys. Yeah, some good mates.
Yeah, definitely. And then obviously, growing up from you kind of always played up the age groups a little bit, didn't you? How did you find that when you were younger?
Yeah, it's tricky. I was a young baby, so I was
Mm.
in July. So yeah, I was always sort of the small, weaker one, and yeah, playing with the older boys, you sort of learn to adapt a little bit. Probably base it more on technique than power as a batter.
Yeah,
For me, it was sort of yeah, trying to have the right technique to hit the ball harder rather than being a strong guy. So that when I then grew into my body a little bit,
yeah,
had the basics, had the foundations, and then found that that transition became
yeah.
a bit easier. Yeah.
And were you always just a batter, or did you dabble in the bowling as
My
well?
bowling journey has been interesting. I started off as a seamer when I was younger, and then bowled leg spin, and then off spin, and now I still try and bowl some off spin. Yeah.
Yeah, no, good. And then going through that, I guess probably what 10 years into the academy while you're doing that, what kind of impact did those coaches? Because you would have been with them for a while. What kind of impact did they have on you?
Huge impact, yeah. Worked with all sorts of different coaches, but then when I was about, I want to say 13, I started working with Neil Stewart, who had a massive impact on my growing up in cricket, and yeah, he was sort of a mentor for me, the guy who I sort of knew my game the best, and if I ever needed something, whether it was good or bad, I'd
Yeah,
always go to him, and yeah, he'd always sort of fix me up. We had a bit of a running joke that every time I saw him, I scored 100 the innings after. So yeah, should
better
probably
go
try
for
and see him this
yeah,
week.
definitely. And then going from academy into, I guess, professional cricket, how did that feel when you transitioned into, I guess, being in a changing room with someone like me, and then being in a changing room with all the internationals and Sam Curran and Ollie Pope and all that?
Yeah, it was a big transition in terms of it was sort of the guys who I'd grown up idolising, watching on TV. And then all of a sudden, I was running out of drink for Ollie Pope at the Oval the day I signed my contract and thinking, like, this is unbelievable. I'm just
Yeah,
sat next to Ollie Pope in the change room, Hashim Amla, and just being able to ask him a question about batting was
yeah,
just, yeah,
yeah. I was going to touch
unbelievable.
on that, but from it seems like they are very good with the younger lads, and they definitely help with anything that you need help with. So, was there anyone in particular that kind of not took you under your wing, but gave you a lot of advice or chatted to you a lot?
Yeah, Jamie Smith was a big one for me. Grew up very close to him. He's only a year older, and so it's funny now seeing him play on the TV for England. But he was always the guy that I would ask if I had batting related question. He probably knew my game better than
Yeah,
than most other players in the Surrey change room. So yeah, I drive him to the Oval a lot, and we chat all things cricket and batting there. Yeah.
yeah, good. All things back. And what does he have to say? Anything interesting?
I mean, Jamie's a funny guy. I really enjoy his output on batting. He's very simple, very smart, but
Mm.
also very dry and blunt. So if he has any thoughts, he'll tell me straight up.
Yeah,
No sugarcoating. Yeah, if he thinks I'm doing something wrong, he'll let me know.
that's always a good way to
Yeah,
be,
yeah.
though. And then obviously being at Surrey, you boys had quite a, or still having a successful time, but you were there when you started winning the Champo stuff. Um, how was that?
Yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, yeah, I had I think 4 summers there and we won 3 championships, which is something I'll always remember and grateful to have been a part of.
Yeah,
I mean, my first year there, the club wasn't as successful, and then that winter there were a lot of meetings about the culture side of it, not
mm,
specifically skill based stuff, because I think we knew that we had the talent in the group to win the championship at
yeah,
that time, but we hadn't managed to put that extra stamp down and
mm,
do it. And I think the big thing there was a lot of chat about culture and how we want to behave
Mm.
and the environment we want to create. And then I think winning 3 championships in a row
Is
shows how
that
important that was.
driven by coaches or senior players or a bit of everybody? And
Everybody, the psychologist led it,
yeah.
and she did lead those sessions very well, and all the players bought into it
Mm.
brilliantly
Is
those first few winters.
Was there anything that you could kind of bring into your own game in that kind of culture, that way they play and the way you want to play? Was there anything that came up in those, I guess, team meetings that maybe is stuck with you now as well while you're still playing?
I think for me, it was the big thing is that winning is a habit as a
Yeah.
team, and you build that habit by putting in little small habits around it. And it
Mm.
might be as simple as just, I don't know, packing your kit up at the end of the day, little habits that just build towards the big habit of winning. And I think, yeah, for me, it was just trying to get the little things right that build towards the big thing.
Yeah, perfect. You touched on winter. You've been in Perth for the last, is it 3 in a row? 4 in a row?
3 in a row, I
3
think.
in a
Yeah.
row. Because I was with you for the first 2.
Yeah.
But just talk a little bit about that experience. And a lot of people maybe have a few perceived perceptions of going over to Australia and
Yeah.
playing really gnarly cricket out there and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, just chat a bit about Perth.
A bit of advice from me is just if you're thinking about doing it, do it. It's so much fun and
Yeah.
you learn so much on the pitch as well as off it. I think I've grown up as a person so much, as a player so much, and yeah, you can't replicate playing matches in
Yeah.
the winter. In over here, you train a lot indoors and stuff, but getting outside, playing games of cricket, learning from different guys that you maybe wouldn't get the
Mm.
Australian opinion on certain things and stuff like that. Yeah, for me, has been definitely very
Yeah.
very valuable.
Well, their culture out there for their cricket is massive in terms of their club stuff. Like for those that don't know, they train Tuesday and Thursday
Yeah,
religiously, and you get basically the whole club turning up. Whereas over here, you maybe train once a week, and
yeah,
it's quite hard to get down from work. But they kind of almost get let off work early to go to training.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, the culture over there is
It
massive, and
is.
you must have played against some pretty good cricketers out there because all of their, I guess, internationals and their state players play their grade stuff.
Yeah.
So what kind of players did you come across out there?
Well, actually, so I've done 3 winters in Perth in a row, but when I was 18, I went to Sydney. And this was before I was professional. And I think my second last game, we played against Manly, and they had Morne Morkel, Ryan Hadley, Steve O'Keefe, and Mickey Edwards, who are all professionals, and obviously
Yeah,
Morne Morkel being the big name there. So yeah, that's probably the best bowling attack I played against. We
yeah,
got knocked over twice in a day and lost by an innings, but
really, like,
yeah. And then in Perth as well, you come up against a lot of state players.
mm,
They love coming back and playing for their grade teams, and
yeah,
yeah, when they do, it's always a nice
yeah,
challenge.
it makes it good, doesn't it? Competitive.
Yeah.
Um, From Perth, did you pick up any, not technical points, but I guess Aussies have a different outlook on cricket. Is there anything it can be a no, but is there anything you picked up from the way they go about things over there that you maybe have adopted here a little bit?
Well, I worked a lot with a coach called Jim Allenby, who played a lot of county cricket, now lives in Perth and coaches some big names, Tim David, Marcus Stoinis. And I was lucky enough to work with him the last couple of winters, and
Mm,
he's been massive for my T20 game. I sort of, going into this summer with the move to Middlesex,
mm,
knew that I was going to play a few more T20s than I had at Surrey. And yeah, my sort of power hitting game and my ability to hit sixes has stemmed all from some of the stuff that he's taught
yeah.
me, because I didn't really know how to, if I was able to hit sixes and how to do it in a
Mm,
first team game. And after working with him this summer, I had a decent blast, went
yeah.
okay, but yeah, found that I was able to actually clear the ropes a lot,
Yeah.
which was good to know.
There'll be a lot of young kids these days watching the 100 and all that kind of stuff that they just want to try and hit sixes.
Yeah.
Have you got any advice in that sense? Because, like you say, you obviously were at a point where you didn't maybe feel like you could
Yeah.
clear the rope, and now you're maybe at a different point. So, is there anything what changed, or is there something that helped in particular that I guess young kids could try themselves?
Yeah, I think it's not losing the fundamentals of batting. I think you see a lot of guys now that are able to clear the ropes, but they
Mm,
built their game on the fundamentals and just added to it. So it's almost like an addition to your game from the basics. So for me, it was slightly more open back face when I'm trying to clear
yeah.
the ropes, opening the back face a little bit, taking your hands back a bit earlier so that you can swing harder and faster
Hmm.
through the ball, but you're still from the same base. Your hands and your body positions are still in
Yeah.
the same sort of thing as when you're
Yeah.
trying to play a cover drive, for example. You
Yeah.
just change, we add slight on things to yeah, try
That's
to clear
good
the ropes.
because I think a lot of people might go the other way and go, you've got
Mm,
to completely change your approach. But actually, especially if you're trying to play all forms of
yeah,
cricket as well, you've got to be quite simple is probably
yeah,
a good word and not overcomplicate
100%.
things. So, um, on the topic of all forms, you've obviously moved to Middlesex
Yeah,
this year, um, which has been great for you, isn't it? You've played literally every game. You were
yeah,
just saying how tired you've been.
yeah.
But just talk a little bit about that and the change. And obviously, it's a big move. I know
Yeah.
it's still within London, but yeah, it's quite a big move moving counties.
Yeah, it was a big move for me. Spent my whole life at Surrey. It was sort of all I knew. I'd been there since the age of 8, so the decision to leave was tough. Tough, but after speaking with the guys at Middlesex, it felt like the right move for me to play more cricket, which is exactly what I
Mm.
wanted. And yeah, this summer I played every game, and the amount I've learned from that you can't replicate. I
No.
mean, just being out there and knowing that you're either succeeding or you're learning, and for
Mm.
me, that's been a big thing this year. Is that every time I've not got the runs I've wanted,
Yeah.
I've learned so much, whether that be getting out and feeling
Yeah.
frustrated in the moment, but then when you go back and reflect on it,
Mm.
you just take away so much more from that.
And how do you deal with situations like that where you, like you say, you maybe not scored the runs you want to score, or you get out in a way that you're annoyed?
Yeah,
What kind of methods, I guess, do you use to deal with that kind of stuff?
I think for me it's about backing my process, sort of sticking to a process for a period of time and knowing that that's what got me to where I am.
Hmm.
And then if the process has failed a few times, maybe looking at the process rather than anything else. But to start with, I try and stick to my process that I
Mm.
set out to do.
Yeah.
If I've stuck to my process and it hasn't worked, I can live with that. Whereas if I've gone
Yeah.
away from what I wanted to do, that's when I'll go back, reassess, and say,
Yeah.
look, need to go back to my process now.
Yeah, definitely. And then I think obviously going into a new team, I guess is not new pressure, but there's an added pressure of being in a new team and you kind of want to prove yourselves. And I guess there's probably a lot of kids in this day and age that are like that, where they might move schools, they might move clubs or whatever. But have you got any tips in that sense of going to a new team and having new teammates and I guess feeling a bit more pressure of performance?
Yeah, there is that added pressure that you put on yourself to prove
Mm.
yourself. But I think for me, the great part about moving to Middlesex was I felt like I fit in straight away. The guys made me feel really welcome. The
Mm.
coaches were sort of hammering how glad they were to have me
Yeah, that's good.
and all that, which makes a big difference because then you do feel more relaxed from the start. And
Yeah.
then it did help for me that I got a score in my first game, which settled a few nerves and
Yeah.
started well. But I think some people probably enjoy that added pressure. It makes
Mm.
you switch on that little bit more
Brings
when
the
you're
best out of you.
batting, brings the best. Yeah, it's definitely brought the best out of me this year. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
it's been
then
good.
you've taken on the captaincy for the Metro Bank, which is the 50 over comp now. How have you found that going from, I guess, being quite a young member in your career so
Yeah.
far to now captaining a side?
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously captained the One Day Cup before for
Yeah.
Surrey, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's different captaining a club that you've not been at for a while when you don't specifically know the guys as well
Mm.
as you did at your previous club. But now I've only done one game now, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's been good. Enjoyed the start, and we obviously would have liked to have won
Yeah.
yesterday, but unfortunately we didn't. And yeah, I'm sure, like I said before, if we're not succeeding, we're learning, and
Mm.
yeah, we'll take some learnings into the
Yeah,
next game.
definitely. And on learnings, there's obviously one person in your changing room that has had a fair few experiences, that being Kane Williamson.
Yep,
How have you found being around him? And you've actually batted with him a few times as well.
yep.
So how have you found doing all that?
No, it's been brilliant. Not many people are lucky enough to say they've batted with one of the Fab Four. They call
Yeah.
it. But yeah, no, he's obviously very good to chat batting with, and he's
Mm.
always open to talking about batting, whether it's your batting or his batting,
Mm.
and taking little learnings from him there. And yeah, he's a very wise guy, and yeah, I've loved sort of learning from him.
Does he have any, not processes, but does he, obviously he's where he is because of a reason.
Yeah,
Is there an obvious reason as to why he's so consistent and can do what he can do day in, day out? Is there any obvious? Yeah.
I think one of the first things I heard from Kane was that his red ball process is that he owns the crease. Sort of when he's there, the crease is his, and the bowlers need to take that away from him.
Hmm.
And that's something that,
That's
in
good.
England at the moment, a lot of the 4 day cricket has been based around being positive and putting pressure on the bowler and
Mm.
stuff. And that was obviously different, but almost, yeah, something that I then thought, well, if this is good enough for him, maybe it's something that I should be trying.
Definitely. And you touched on 4 day cricket. A lot of people don't probably realise maybe obviously people that play cricket do, but the ones that think you don't have to be that fit to play cricket and all
Yeah,
that kind of stuff, how do you stay focused for 4-day games where you're literally playing cricket for
yeah.
4 days on end, and you might even just come away with the draw? But how do you stay focused for
It is
those games?
a different type of fitness. It's not necessarily about running 10Ks before to try
Yeah.
get fit for it. It's almost like a concentration type of fitness that you get through playing.
Mm.
Um, you obviously have to be fit, especially the bowlers have to be fit enough to
Yeah.
bowl for on that fourth day to be able
Yeah.
to rock up and bowl 5 overs in a row at 90 miles an hour. You have to be fit.
Yeah.
But it's almost the preparation, the recovery each night, making sure you're getting
Yeah.
8.5 hours sleep, eating enough protein and
Yeah.
carbs and stuff that you would have had the day before. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a different type of fitness. There's more recovery based to
Mm.
be able to go the day after as well.
For the recovery side of things, do you have anything like saunas, ice baths, or do you just put your feet up and watch a bit of TV and, like you say, go to bed nice and early and eat proper
Yeah,
food? Or
it's difficult with the timings. You sort of finish at 7 o'clock, so most guys are rushing home, probably having a Deliveroo and sat on the sofa.
yeah,
I think between games, when there's not much time off, guys will ice bath, sauna,
mm,
definitely. Yeah, most of the guys will be ice bathing and
yeah,
saunaing a lot. But yeah, it's just about eating enough,
yeah,
drinking enough. We burn a lot of calories throughout a
mm.
4 day game. So
Yeah. That's surprising that like a lot of people don't realize that you literally,
mhm.
I guess, standing on your feet for
Yeah,
6 7 hours a day, you do just casually burn quite a lot of calories. But
yeah, yeah,
um, outside of cricket, obviously, this time of year you maybe don't get loads of time off, but
yeah.
how important is it for you to get away from the game and, I guess, go and play golf or paddle or whatever it is?
Yeah, massively. Like you said, we don't get much time off. The schedule is very packed. So it's about making the most of those 2 days. And the other thing is about having a good life outside of cricket that you don't feel like you're just attached to your performances, because I
Mm,
feel like a lot of cricketers, from my experience, and definitely something that I found in the last few years,
yeah.
is that I'm very reliant on what's going on in my cricket for
Mm,
my mood outside of cricket. And it's something that I've worked a lot on with the psychologist, is making sure that, you know, I can switch off away from the game
yeah.
and do stuff that brings me joy. If I've maybe had a bad week with the bat, I'm not spending 4 days locking myself away and being antisocial. I can
Yeah.
actually then still be happy. Yeah.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question, is dealing with when you're not scoring runs. And I guess the other one is probably more selection as well, when
Yeah.
you go from maybe playing or then suddenly not playing. And cricket's quite tricky in that sense. It's not like football where
Mm.
you watch it for 90 minutes and then there's a game the next day. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you could be running the drinks for 4 days
Yeah.
at a time. How do you, motivated is probably the word, but how do you stay motivated for times like that where you want to obviously be playing, but you also got to be supporting and running drinks on and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, obviously, the reason I left Surrey in the end was for game time. So I did spend a lot of time running drinks and
Mm,
being told I'm not playing and stuff. So getting back from that disappointment is a skill that I probably had to work on, and
yeah.
I'm not going to say I nailed it, because I don't think many professional athletes will,
Mm,
because of that hunger to play
mm,
and that hunger to perform well. Um, I think it is tricky. I worked a lot with a psychologist, like I said there,
mm,
about having things outside the game that help me focus on something different
yeah.
when it is between game days. And then I just think it's about being a professional. When you're
Yeah.
there, it is that team first buy-in. For me, I always found that if I wasn't playing, I was still hopefully a good 12 man and
Yeah.
good at
Hopefully.
yeah, hopefully. I'd hope guys would say, but
Yeah.
you know, the team is still out there performing, and
Yeah.
you still have a job to do to help the team.
Mm,
I mean, I don't like football, for example. There's probably not a huge amount for the guys not playing to
mm.
contribute. Whereas in
Yeah.
cricket,
They
I feel
just
like
sit in the
if you're not
stands, don't
playing,
they?
you still have a lot of opportunity to help impact the guys playing. So yeah, for me, it was just about buying into that team first
Yeah.
environment and yeah, giving my best
Yeah.
off the pitch for the boys.
I guess that comes with age as well, a little bit, and
Hmm.
experience. And that just trying to think of I guess, the younger generation that maybe don't have that experience to tap into. Was there, when you were much younger, was there anything else that maybe helped with all that kind of selection problems or injuries or whatever? Because injuries, actually, you've had
Yeah,
a fair few.
yeah,
So they're obviously different to not getting picked.
yeah.
Um, how have you found dealing with injuries as a problem, if you like?
Yeah, I fractured my thumb at the start of the 2022 season
I
after,
remember that.
a long winter indoors, and I felt like I was batting really well, and all the coaching staff were sort of telling me I was batting really well, and you're ready to sort of make your mark, thinking you might be in the team, and then yeah, to fracture my thumb there 2 weeks before the season started was tough.
Yeah,
I think for me it was about being around the guys, and yeah, being present as much as possible. So when they were playing at the Oval, for example, I'd get up there and support them,
mm,
watch, chat to them, because then you still feel like you're a part of it.
yeah,
Because it can be an isolating place for a lot of cricketers when they're injured
yeah,
if you're not around your teammates, because yeah, it can be quite a lonely environment.
yeah. No, definitely. And I wanted to go back to batting in particular, because I think a lot of younger people don't necessarily have a way of going about batting, and I know I certainly didn't, and maybe don't still. But
Yeah,
um, is there anything you say to yourself when you're batting? Do you have any cues or things that have really helped
yeah, I
to stay
think
concentrated? Or
yeah, I think like I said earlier, I think it's about having a really consistent process,
mm,
because then you have something to refer to if things go well or not well. Whereas if you're sort of jumping around different theories and different things, you don't know
mm,
what's worked and you don't know what hasn't, because cricket is a game where you fail a lot as a batter.
yeah,
So dealing with that failure, it's a lot easier to pinpoint what's working and what's not if you have a consistent process. For me, in 4 day cricket especially, I try and play late and play straight is my little thing that I'll sort of say as the
yeah,
bowler's running into myself. Yeah, I think that sort of keeps me sort of consistent, and if at the start of my innings I can make sure I'm playing as straight as possible and playing late,
yeah.
I think that sets me up for success.
That's a good answer.
Mm.
Goals. What are your? It could be short term, but
Yeah,
long term, I guess you'll probably say trying to play for England, which is great. But
yeah,
are there any specific goals you're striving towards or aiming for in the next couple of years?
yeah. I try not to look too far ahead. So,
Yeah,
like for example, one of my goals obviously is playing for England, but I don't think you just play for England by
yeah,
having a goal of that. My sort of short term, I set shorter term goals.
mm,
I try and take it game by game and tournament by tournament. So I think for me, with not a huge amount left in the season, we've got
mm,
7 more 1 day games and then 3 more championships. We're on the brink of promotion. If I
yeah,
can help the team push for that promotion through winning one game maybe with an
yeah,
innings, where 1 out of 3 games where I put in an innings that helps the team win, hopefully 2 or 3,
yeah,
then yeah, that's sort of my short term goal.
yeah. That's a good way of looking at it, and I guess you've flipped your personal goal into a team goal,
Yeah,
which would probably then
yeah.
come back to a personal success
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm
anyway.
a big believer that if you're putting the team first, you're
Yeah.
in a better position
It's a good
to
outlook
succeed.
to
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
Are you planning to go back to Perth again this winter?
I haven't worked out yet.
Haven't worked out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got some personal life out there that means that I'll probably end up going back out to Perth. I
Yeah.
mean, I love playing cricket for Perth
Yeah.
Cricket Club, which is yeah the club I play out there, and I
Mm,
love the blokes, and I always have a great time. But yeah,
yeah.
6 summers in a row is a
It's
lot, so I need to sort of figure out now that I've played a lot of cricket this summer whether
mm,
playing for 4 more months is the best thing for me next year,
mhm,
or if it's not. And yeah, I have
yeah.
no answer right now because yeah,
Yeah.
the
Good.
season's been pretty full on.
I think a lot of people probably they talk about bowlers and them getting burnt out, and I guess it's more of a physical thing. But how do you? It's don't know how to ask this right, but you've got like you say 6 summers, well 7 summers potentially, which would then be 8 if you
Yeah.
went and came back. How do you? At what point do you go right? Enough's enough. I'm just going to have a couple months off and then go and refresh myself. And do you sometimes feel like you just go, I don't want to pick up the bat for a couple of months and just go play golf and completely switch off and
Mm,
then come back to it? Or do you feel like you're kind of a rhythm player that likes to keep playing and I guess
yeah.
always keep batting?
Well, I think yeah, like you said, it's different for different guys. I know certain guys that won't pick up a bat for 3 months and then
Mm,
go and score a few hundreds straight away or as soon as they pick it up. Whereas yeah, I think for me, I've come back from the last few winters feeling like I'm playing really good cricket. So
that's important then.
that's sort of what I go back to each time that I come to make this decision is in April when I'm walking out to bat for the first game of the year,
Mm,
what's going to put me in the best position for that? And the last few years, I think it has been playing games in the lead up
mm,
to it. Whether that's the case again this year,
yeah,
where I've actually played a lot more cricket in the summer leading up to the winter, I- I'm I'm currently working out.
yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, it will always be about what when I walk out for that first innings, what's going to
yeah.
put me in the best position.
And you touched on Perth Cricket Club. Um, playing against you boys and obviously seeing the successes you had out there,
Yeah.
is there is there anything similar that they've done that has been in the same with Surrey and the teams that have won here in terms of just trying to get the idea on cultures that have done well? Is it something that's been really different, or they adopt the same types of things?
I mean, I think both clubs, Surrey and Perth, just first off have really good players, but all those players buy into that doing what the team needs ethos, if that makes sense, where the bowlers will put their body on the line and bowl long spells if it's what's needed, and the batters will put their egos aside for
Yeah,
certain periods of the game if they need to, and dig in and get a big score if that's what the team requires.
yeah, good. Um, a bit different now. What is one thing that people don't realise about being a professional cricketer? One thing that's kind of, yeah, very obnoxious.
Um, I think something that I've learnt this year by playing every game is that it is I don't want to say lonely, but you don't see your mates. You don't see your schoolmates as often
Mm.
as you want, and you don't see your mates outside of cricket because you're just constantly playing, traveling, spending time with your teammates, and then your mates might only get weekends off work.
Yeah.
And if you're playing Saturday and Sunday because that's when most people go and watch the professional game,
Mm.
it's very difficult to sort of make time for each other and stuff. So yeah, I have found this summer it's been very full on, very busy, and that like I haven't seen my good mates as much as I'd
Yeah.
want to, and got out on the golf course as much as I'd want
Yeah.
to. And obviously, it sounds like quite a I don't know non-issue, but like yeah, if things aren't going well on the pitch, sometimes you just want to go for a beer with a mate, and
Yeah. I
they're
forget about it.
unavailable and you're unavailable.
Yeah.
It's probably something people don't realize that yeah, it can get a
Mm.
little bit lonely, but
Yeah.
then I found that having good teammates and guys that you want to be around from your team does make
Mm.
that a bit easier.
Yeah. And you spoke about obviously times where you've not scored runs, but I want to touch on the times when you are scoring runs.
Yeah.
And what is the most memorable innings you've had that you go, I kind of almost replay that in my head to just remind myself that I've done really well at times.
Yeah, yeah. It differs. I think my most memorable knock that I look back on and think that was great was my first Championship 100. It was at the Oval. The Oval always gets a pretty good crowd in for red ball
Mm.
cricket, so there were probably 5 or 6 thousand people there, and Hashim Amla, one of the greatest batters of all time, was at the other end for it. So that was probably looking back one of my most memorable.
Mm.
In terms of when I felt like I was playing the best, it probably wouldn't be that memorable of an innings, but I
Mm.
scored a second team 100 a few years, maybe last year now
Mm.
against Glamorgan, and that was probably the innings where if I'm struggling for form a bit, I look back and watch and think, what was I doing well there? Because yeah, I think that was one of those knocks where everything hit the middle of the bat, and
Yeah.
yeah, it felt really good. So
Yeah.
yeah, two slightly contrasting environments of the knocks, but
Yeah.
yeah, probably my two most memorable for different reasons.
How do you try to stay in that moment, like with your training, just trying
Yeah,
to get a bit of behind the scenes look at stuff
yeah,
when you're going well? Do you train just as much as when you're not going well, or do you have the same, like you say, processes? But what does your process actually look
yeah.
like?
I think again, alluding to the schedule, there's not a huge amount of time for training, which
Mm.
is a difficulty, and what a lot of players in the game are now rallying for less cricket so that we can have higher quality cricket with
Mm.
training. So I think for me, between games, if I've not felt good, I'll watch some clips of me batting when I was playing well and
Yeah.
think, and then watch a clip of the game and think what was different,
Mm.
what have I gone away from, and what do I need to go back to? And I think for me, I like facing throws out of a hand
Mm.
because almost throwdowns, half volleys, feeling like I'm playing well going
Mm.
into the next game, rather than maybe a challenging net against bowlers where I then go into the next game feeling like
Yeah.
I've not hit them well. So for me,
Yeah.
it's about almost taking some good feeling into my next innings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then your winter preparations, because there's obviously a lot of people that spend probably more time in the winter training than they do playing in the summer.
Yeah.
Do you, like you mentioned there, of having a tough net, do you like those kind of scenarios more in the winter when you're trying to, I guess, you got loads more time to improve your game rather than trying to focus on playing the whole time?
Yeah. I see the winter as trying to nail my basics and then add on to my current game. So if there's a shot that throughout the summer I felt like if only I could play that, that would be
Mm.
great. I'll try and add that through the winter by just pure volume. So,
Mm.
for example, this blast that's just gone, there were a few times I got out where I was like, "Oh, if only I felt like I could scoop better."
Mm.
then that would have put fine leg back, maneuvered the field a bit. So going into this winter, I'll probably try and practice the scoop all winter so that
Yeah.
next summer,
You can play
when
it.
I'm in the same position, I can play it,
Yeah.
but while also keeping the things that worked well. So yeah,
Mm.
standing there and trying to hit the short ball for six
Yeah.
every time, something that went well. So I'll try and do that again this winter with adding stuff on. Yeah.
Mm. And then on the blast, I think it'd probably be quite interesting to hear how they actually, as in the days run. So
Yeah.
you're playing games quite frequently in
Yeah. Yeah.
terms of a week, but how does a usual blast day look? I guess you could
Yeah.
probably use Lords as one because
Yeah. Yeah.
that's quite a cool day for you
Yeah.
guys to play in. But how do they go?
I mean, the blast's hectic because the games start late. You have so much adrenaline, and then you can't sleep. So I
Mm.
think rather than the Lords one, a good example was we had a road trip. We went down to Taunton for a T20.
Yeah.
We travelled down the day before. The night before, we were a bit like, tomorrow night we're going to be up till 10 o'clock. So we stay up a little bit later.
Yeah.
We stayed up till maybe midnight. A few guys were playing poker, which is good fun. And then, yeah, tried to sort almost adjust to a slightly later night.
Yeah.
Had a sleep, woke up at the hotel the next day. You got 6 hours to kill, and you're
Yeah.
like, no one really knows what to do. You go out, have some breakfast, have a coffee, and then you only get to the ground at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Go
Yeah.
through your prep, play the game, finish the game at 10:30 or 10 o'clock, whenever it is, and then you've got so much adrenaline that no one can sleep.
Mm.
So we then had a game the next day at the Aegeus Bowl, which was, is it Utility Bowl or something now?
Yeah.
So then we, yeah, stayed in the hotel in Taunton that night. No one could get to sleep. So a few guys were going to bed at 2, 3 in the morning because of the
Christ.
adrenaline going through your body. And then wake up the next morning at 9 o'clock. We're driving to Southampton for
Yeah.
another game that night. And like I still remember there was a bit of rain around and guys were just having naps in the change room floor a few hours before because
Yeah.
obviously the sleep the night before was so bad.
Yeah.
And then you play in Southampton, finished at 10 o'clock again. I had to get drugs tested, got back to the hotel at about 1 in the morning because so dehydrated from the game. And then no one could sleep again. So we were sat in the hotel bar till about 3 o'clock just chatting around like because no one could get to sleep. And then,
So,
yeah.
are there any other game like card games as popular as it
Yeah, yeah.
with you boys? Was it a lot? Is it always the same Middlesex? Sorry, they're all play the same kind of games, poker, other stuff.
Yeah, differs
Yeah.
between what blokes like. I mean, at Middlesex, we've got a bit of a group that love playing poker at the moment.
Yeah.
Enjoy taking each other's cash, which is good fun. Whereas, yeah, at Surrey, we played different card games. Yeah.
And do some of the boys try and get out and play golf on those mornings that, like you say, down in Taunton, where you're trying to kick around for 6 hours, or do they go? That's probably not the best prep for a T20 game.
It varies. Like, I know guys that love getting out on the golf course, and some
Yeah.
guys wouldn't want to be on their feet for 4 hours, maybe get a buggy. But
Mm.
yeah, it sort of varies. Guys like to go have a coffee, yeah, catch up with mates, socialise. So if
Yeah.
we're playing a home game, try and get into if it was at Lords, we'd go have a coffee in St John's Wood before,
Mm.
chat around, maybe get to the ground fractionally earlier because it is Lords and the
Yeah.
good lunch, and then
Good
give that a
lunch.
bit more chance to settle.
Is it the best lunch, Lords?
It's definitely up there.
What?
It's the best tasting,
Okay.
yeah, definitely. But
Yeah.
then there's, I think Canterbury's
I
up
was
there
gonna
as
say
well.
that.
Canterbury has very good food and
Yeah.
very good quantity as well.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
To finish, if there's one message you would like to leave, what would it be?
It's a difficult question. Leave to what the younger
Yeah, just
generation, myself.
anybody
Yeah.
anybody listening. Yeah, you could spin it whichever way you want. We'll go with leave one message for the younger generation.
Um, I think like I said at the start, enjoy the process, enjoy the journey because that is ultimately what it is the whole
Mm.
time. So I've sort of spent my first few years always worried about performance, worried about have I batted well in the nets? Am I impressing the coaches? Is my performance getting me to where I want to get to?
Yeah,
Whereas I think at the end of the day, chatting to guys that are older than me,
yeah,
they always look back and think, did I actually enjoy that? Because if I'm 36, about to finish playing, and I look back thinking I haven't taken a chance to actually enjoy training and enjoy getting better and enjoy that, then what was the point? So for me, it's just about, yeah, work as hard as possible, no doubt, to try and, yeah, be the best player I can be, but just enjoy that process of getting better. Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Cheers, Gello.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for coming
Cheers. No worries.